Hey, what is up, lovelies? So, I want to talk about something interesting that someone commented on my video the other day. Now, disclaimer, this isn't to point out fingers or call someone out. I just realized that to better explain myself in my videos, I also need to fully explain my thought process to my audience. Because if one person thinks this, then there must be many more lovelies out there who are wondering the same thing. To sum up the situation, the commenter mentioned that comparing Love in Deepspace to games like Honkai Star Rail, Genshin Impact, or even Wuthering Waves was like comparing apples to oranges, basically saying that Love in Deepspace shouldn't be compared to games that are of a completely different genre and type. Instead, it should be compared to Tears of Themis, which is also in the same vein as Love in Deepspace. And before I start, I had someone comment something absolutely comical on Reddit the other day along the same idea of this topic, saying that I shouldn't bring these other games into the discussion of Love in Deepspace because they don't want drama. Look, I'm not summoning the Armada or the Marvel heroes to save Love in Deepspace here. I'm just using those games as an example and as a template for what Gacha could be for us LADS players. Now, objectively speaking, I completely understand where these people are coming from. On the surface, using primarily exploration and battle-focused games aren't the best comparison to Love in Deepspace. However, if you boil these gacha games down to how players progress and level up, many similarities appear. To briefly go over the gacha game fundamentals, we have a few major aspects to discuss. First, we have the stamina systems. It's a way for the game to control how much time players spend in one single game, so they don't finish it in one go. This would be the wave plates, the resin, trailblaze fuel, and in Love in Deepspace, it's just stamina. Next, we have the resource grind. It's the available options to obtain leveling up resources outside of the limited events. Next are the RNG-based power-up items. These are items to enhance the base game characters or attack power. This can be seen in the Protocores, Relics in HSR, Artifacts in Genshin, and Echoes in Wuwa. Number 4 on the list would be currency for pulls. You have Diamonds, Stellar Jades, Astrite, and Wishes. You can obtain these through quests, events, login bonuses, passes, and in-game goals. Number 5, we have endgame modes. They give you a reason to build and pull characters like your memories and build your teams. This also supplements you with a sustainable way of farming for resources and pulls down the line. And lastly, we have an incentive to pull for the banners. Now, the incentive is given by different aspects of the game, whether that's from the story, the main story, or the characters or experiences, or even power creep in battle-focused games. Now, the reason why I mentioned that these are the fundamental elements to a gacha game is because all these elements together create a cycle to keep players invested. A perfectly balanced gacha game optimizes all of these elements to help maintain player retention while also capturing new potential players' interests. So, if we focus on the core aspects of these elements and analyze how different games implement them into their own models, then we can get a better understanding of how and why overall functionality of a game is better than another. To put this into a simpler way of understanding this, imagine 3 different people baking an apple pie. You have the same ingredients given to each one and the same basic recipe without proportions given. This could mean that each individual person can assemble a pie differently, cut the apples differently, or use different proportions of the ingredients differently. The end result will still be an apple pie, but they'll all look and taste very different. Same concept with a gacha game. All these companies understand what makes a gacha game, but they have their own approach on how to optimize their systems based on their game and on their genre. However, the biggest takeaway is that they all grow and gain experience in this business. They eventually learn what is the best way to set up their models. Jumping quickly back to the pie analogy, if one person sees that the other ended up with a better and flakier crust, they'd look back at their process of baking and realize, oh, if I put my dough in the freezer for 30 minutes, my crust could turn out just as flaky too. They learn from one another and implement the best methods on how to approach different elements to improve their final product. So if I say that Honkai Star Rail has the best relic upgrading experience, it's because they have the Omni synthesizer that simplifies collecting materials. But just because I said that doesn't mean that the exact same synthesizer from HSR can be implemented into Love and Deepspace. Sure, the info devs can take the idea and make it their own, because it's a great idea if you want to focus on leveling one type of Stalactrum memory team to another. Say I just finished leveling up all of Zane's cards and now I want to level up Silas's cards next. I'll need to completely re-farm the bounty hunts and waste whatever stamina I spent on my leftover red and blue crystals from leveling up Zane's memories. However, if we had a synthesizer of some sort, we could then turn whatever color crystal to the one that we need for the memories we want to upgrade. Of course, the info devs can implement some protective measures like limiting how many crystals you can change color in a day or something, but that part is up to them. So this is my general thought process as to why I would bother comparing Love and Deepspace to other gacha games. But now I need to answer the second part of the question. Why bother comparing LADS to games like Wuwa, HSR, and Genshin? Well, the answer is actually simpler than you may think. This is because these systems that these games have are all or more or less fully fleshed out. Genshin, being the first real global success in the gacha community, formed the template that HSR and Wuwa would eventually expand on for their own systems. The reason why I point out Genshin is because they are the biggest game to really make it big in the Western world, where gacha is notoriously refuted. Mainly in the US, but I can't speak for the other parts of the Western world, but definitely the United States. Perhaps it's because of the culture here, but the microtransactions are really looked down upon by the general populace. But miraculously, Hoyoverse successfully created a game that the Western world accepted, and even though Koro and Hoyo are still improving on their own gacha systems, Genshin, Wuthering Waves, and HSR have paved their own paths that other developers can learn from. And clearly, seeing all their popularity and massive fan bases, these games are doing something right. So my thinking is, why can't Love and Deepspace look at that template and improve and innovate on their own version? Yes, these games are from completely opposite genres, but like I said in the beginning, every gacha game is going to have the same fundamental elements. And honestly, I have a strong hunch that the LADS team is already doing just that. I mean, technically, we're already seeing it with the addition of the Abyssal Chaos. If you've ever played HSR, then you can see the heavy similarities to the simulated universe. But the Love and Deepspace devs really put their own spin on the experience by making it very story-driven, and letting players use maxed out companions and memories. Honestly, they really cooked with the Abyssal Chaos, and I love that for them and for us players. It proves to some degree that they're paying attention to what's pleasing players in the gacha space. That in itself is already a major step in the right direction. So I hope you see my point here and understand why I compare LADS to the top 3 gachas in this space. Again, just to reiterate, my intention of this video is not to say that LADS is less than other gacha games. My intention is to help you lovelies see that LADS still has a lot of room to grow and improve. And one of the best ways of improving is by learning by example from your predecessors in the gacha space. Not to copy them, but to move beyond and evolve with the genre. But that's all I have for this video. If you have any questions or constructive input on the subject, please feel free to comment down below. If you like my video, please leave a like, and if you want to join the Goblin family, hit that subscribe button. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you lovelies in the next video. Bye bye now!